Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom. Nathan Drinkard, I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere in between. If you're looking for us in the video format, you can find us at the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. As always, when we miss a show, it feels like it's been an eternity since we did the last one. So great to be back with you, and hope you've been doing well in the interim.
Oh, hey man, I have been doing well. Actually, I've been doing pretty great. Can't really complain. Schedule mishaps. Reason we wasn't on Friday, but we back in the lab today, baby. So you know what time it is. Another day, another dollar. Ready to give the streets what they need. We see what they don't. Say what they want. Set your dinner plates because you know it's time to eat. And last but not least, let's talk some sports, baby. Jay, what we got today?
We got episode 49. We'll expound a little bit on the NBA Contender Pretenders segment we did a few weeks ago. We also got the new NFL overtime rule, and we got Rooney Rule enhancements.
But first, we're gonna start with the NCAA tournament. Over the last, felt like week or so, but more like a weekend, we had the Sweet 16 go down, and we just had the Elite Eight go down. In the Elite Eight, we had, probably what we like to call the usual suspects. Shouts out to St. Peter Peacocks. Shouts out to them for giving us a little spice. But at the end of the day, I think we got four what we would consider, three what we consider blue bloods, and one that's kind of making their way up there in the territory. But as you know, number 2 Villanova defeated number 5 Houston 50-44. Number 2 Duke defeated number 4 Arkansas 78-69. Number 1 Kansas defeated number 10 Miami 76-50, and number 8 North Carolina defeated number 15 St. Peter's. So that's where we're set at, Jay. Let us know how you felt about the action this weekend. You take it wherever you want to take it.
Well, I just have to say, for the record, we've been searching for the St. Peter's the mascot for the past several weeks. We finally figured it out just in time. That was the first time I'd been able to watch St. Peter's in action, just in time to see them get escorted out of the tournament. They're the Peacocks, and I don't know. I didn't see. I mean, obviously they won the first 3 games, and to be somewhat serious about it, it's historical what they did. We've only had 2 15 seeds before St. Peter's make the Sweet 16. So to have a 15 get the Elite 8 and be on the doorstep of the Final Four, I think is something special. It's they can say they're the greatest 15 seed of all time. I think their coach has already parlayed that run into a job at Seton Hall, I believe, or at least he's in the discussion. Right. I'm not sure if that's been finalized, but North Carolina, and I think we touched on this a little bit before we got on. North Carolina's playing some outstanding basketball. And when you look at what they, how they played at the beginning of the season, I think they really had a slow start, struggled in non-conference, and then they just got hot toward the regular season, and they've continued on this tournament. They've been great. They steamrolled Marquette. They had Baylor on the mat. Baylor was about to tap out, and then the ref tapped out Brady Manick, and then they did something. UCLA gave them some troubles, but I think they closed strong in that one. And the thing about a lot of these teams, I'm not seeing a lot of great depth, but you look at North Carolina and what they put out there in their starting 5, and just everybody, is seemingly playing well. And you have guys, it can be anybody on any given night, probably besides their small forward, their defensive specialist in Leaky Black. I don't think he's going to drop 30 on you, but everybody else can. RJ Davis, I hadn't seen RJ Davis play that well. I wasn't too impressed with RJ Davis. And then against Baylor, he just starts off hotter than fish grease, as Mark Jones likes to say. And he's just, right. And the next thing he's got
Shout
30.
Out to Mike Jones.
I think Caleb Love had 30 in the Sweet 16. Brady Manick, I mean, this guy has just been just incredible. Just every time I watch North Carolina, Brady Manek's hitting about 4 or 5 threes and hitting them at a high clip. And then, of course, the big fella down low, Armando Bacot. And North Carolina lately, in the Roy Williams era, and now continuing on, they are known for outstanding big men. And Armando Bacot is just a beast on the low block and on the boards. They've been impressive. And I think they have been the most impressive team in this tournament. And when you look at the fact that they're an 8 seed, they're not playing like an 8. They're playing like a 2. They're playing like a 2 at minimum. That's how good they've been. And of course, and I said this before that St. Peter's North Carolina game started. I said, hey, this St. Peter's thing has been cool, but sign me up for Carolina Duke Volume 3. That's all you need to know, and we'll talk about it more on a Friday show. But to Duke, I gotta say, I think Duke's impressed me because I didn't find them
definitely impressed me.
The games that I saw in the times I watched them in the regular season, I didn't look at Duke as like, I don't think this is one of the better teams they've had, but they've seized the moment in the tournament. I think they've outplayed what I saw in the regular season. And I think it's a case of, they have Pueblo Banchero. He's obviously their best player. But I think you've seen other guys step up. I think Jeremy Roach, one of their guards, he's always good for a key play here and there. I think A.J. Griffin is supremely talented as one of their wings. You got Trevor Keels. He's a talented young guy. They have everybody that plays for them makes an impact in some way. And Mark Williams, speaking of big fellas, 7'1", shot blocker, rim protector extraordinaire, often and athletic, so athletic for a 7'1" guy. And I really think Duke, when you even go back to last season for Duke, when they started finding, they figured out, hey, we have Mark Williams. Let's see what he can do. He's tall, and not only is he tall, but he's just a fantastic player. And he's been giving them a lot. So I'm excited for Duke, North Carolina. That's going to be something special. I think it's the first time we've seen those two programs play in the NCAA tournament. And then on the other side, Villanova. What can you say about Villanova? I mean, they just handle their business year in and year out. I think this is their third Final Four since 2016. I think those two Final Four appearances, they won the title. So you talk about all these great coaches. You talk about Coach K's. You talk about Bill Self and some of the other top coaches. And you can't forget about Jay Wright because year in and year out, Villanova's in the conversation. They're playing great ball. They're always at the top or right under the top spot in the Big East. And I think it's going to be somewhat tough. They lost one of their key contributors to just a devastating Achilles injury late in that game. But still, I mean, you can't count Villanova out. But I really, Kansas, I think that was the most compelling game of the Elite Eight. And of course, what are you talking about? It was a 26-point game. But if you watch that first half between Kansas and Miami, Miami controlled the pace. They played great defense. I think Miami's pressure defense really has carried them in this tournament. They've been something to watch. But then you just look at Kansas and you look at how they played that second half, and they just showed they just came out there and flexed and said, okay, we're a 1 seed. You're a 10 seed. Please leave. And that's what happened. They just came out explosive. They upped the intensity. They locked them down. They outscored them 47-15 in the second half. It was a dominant performance. And, to close where you started, I think you can say these are 4 blue bloods. I think Villanova's in that conversation.
They're blue blood now.
I consider they're a blue blood. And if you talk in the sense that since the turn of the century, in the last 20 years or so, I would consider them a blue blood.
Right.
Now, if you go back to prehistoric times where they were, playing with, laundry baskets or whatever they were doing, or peach baskets or whatever Dr. Naismith was doing, then maybe they don't qualify. But the only way you could get bluer than this is if you plugged in Kentucky. And St. Peter's went ahead and got them out of here. So, you know, this, you know, the tournament is about, it is about the Cinderellas. It's about the underdogs. But usually when you get to the Final Four, you have something like this. And I don't think you could ask again, unless you want Kentucky, that these are four of the best programs in the country. And it should be a fantastic Final Four.
So let me start off where you left off with the Final Four teams, right? So when we talked last Tuesday, right, we talked about, so St. Peter's they're the team that everybody envisions when they say, you know, college football should expand and give smaller teams bigger opportunities. And look at the Cinderella, and they was the Cinderella this year, and they deserve every accolade, everything they got good, all the extra money they made for their school. They deserve everything. I think they performed at a very high level. Because listen, for what it's worth, St. Peter's was not one of those teams that was winning by luck. They was winning by sheerly outplaying their opponents. Let's get that right. Like, this wasn't, hey, they was hitting a game-winning shot every game. Like, this wasn't that. Or, you know, what happened between North Carolina and Baylor. Like, you got this call, and then it just switched the game, and then St. Peter's just kind of capitalized. No, they earned every win that they got in this tournament. They earned it. I think they played. It was remarkable. They finally just went against a team that was better. At the end of the day, North Carolina was better. My thing is now, and you hear this a lot. Yeah, when the tournament got 68 teams, yeah, you got some Cinderellas. Then they go to 32. Yeah, you still got a few. Then you get to 16, you might have one or two, which we did. Get to the Elite Eight, we had one. Now we're at the Final Four. We have none. This is the natural balance of the NCAA tournament. This is the reason, and I know this is not a college football segment, but at the end of the day, this is the reason why they're hesitant to expand, because at the end of the day, you're going to get the four, like with basketball anyway, you're going to get the four best teams, and more likely than not, they're going to be four teams that we're used to. So we're used to Villanova. We're used to Duke. We're used to Kansas. We're used to North Carolina. So for all the naysayers that like to use the NCAA tournament as the blueprint of what college football should do, it's the same exact thing at the end of the day. The four best teams that we know. You might as well call Duke, Alabama, Kansas, you can call them, I don't want to be disrespectful. You can call them Georgia or something, I guess, say. And then, Villanova and North Carolina, however you want to do it, Oklahoma, any other team that usually make the playoffs. So I just want to get that off my chest. Now, with that said, you mentioned the coaches, right? I don't want to get into the Final Four too much, but I think Duke would get a chance to reset what they did before the tournament, for the reason that I thought they was going to lose in one of the first two rounds. Now they get a chance to go clean up the mess that they made at the end of the regular season and in the ACC tournament. I think they will. I think now they're motivated because they're kind of like, once again, a parallel to college football. They're kind of like Georgia the second time they played Alabama. It was like, okay, you beat us. You kind of embarrassed us. We should have won that last game for Coach K. That was a historic moment, and we dropped the ball. Then you get into the tournament. We didn't quite do what we need to do there. Now that both teams are clicking, if Duke were to beat North Carolina, I mean, you kind of forget about everything else, right? So I, didn't want to get too much in that, but I just had to say that. To the Elite Eight itself. Listen, you said the most compelling game was Kansas and Miami. I'm gonna go with Villanova and Houston. I think when you talk about a game that was a true coin flip, like you just don't know where to go with it, I think Villanova and Houston was that game. If you had to bet the mortgage, and this is how I look at it. If I'm looking at Duke and Arkansas, and I had this bet, and then I I had to bet my mortgage on it. I would take Duke over Arkansas. I would have definitely took North Carolina over St. Peter's. Hey, you want 2 mortgage payments? I'm taking North Carolina. But I would took Kansas over Miami. Even though Miami's been impressive, and I got those teams been impressive, but at the end of the day, I'm taking the more, the more stable coach, I think, and the more stable college basketball stars at that time. I'm gonna take them in a bigger moment. The thing about Villanova and Houston, you don't quite know. I mean, Jay Wright, from the coaching perspective, yes. But as far as which star, who's going to take over this game, who's going to, will that team to the win? In that game, I thought, indicative to the final score, I thought that question was in the air more. So I thought that was more of a coin flip. So I went with that game as far as the best game for me out of the Elite Eight. Villanova won a tough game, beat a tough Houston team, deserve what they get. All in all, man, listen, Saturday, we get the Final Four. We get the 4 teams that, I had to go back and look at my predictions. I know my predictions jacked up because I had Purdue somewhere in here and seen what happened to them. So that said, man, we'll get back on this Friday. We'll talk about our Final Four and see who we got holding up the championship trophy, and then we'll go from there. But hey, look, before I get out of here, I just want to say it was a great weekend of action. And St. Peter's, the Peacocks, hey man, y'all deserve every accolade y'all get. And hopefully, if the coach, does decide to leave, whoever replaces him can keep that success going.